Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Rift Rivals 2019. I'm Atlas, joined by Raz. We're going to be taking you through the back 3 games here of day 1. And Raz, I just want to say before we start that it's an absolute pleasure to be back on a desk with you one more time. Feels like this is our annual treatment to some Atlas Raz, which unfortunately will have to stop after this year. Bible thumbs in chat, ladies and gentlemen, because no more Rift Rivals means potentially a lack of Ratless for 2020.
We just need to find a better nickname by the end of the event.
Do you think it's because of Ratless? Yes. That's the problem?
That needs
They're like,
to stop.
we can't have this?
That's why this relationship has to
Well, we can just rename it. Come on. Compromise is the thing that you got to make in relationships, Raz. So we can make the compromise. We can change the name. What do you reckon? What, Atlaplasm?
The plasm is gone. that's what's hampering us at this point.
Atlaz? Atlaz is the thing. I got Brian, our producer's in my ear, and he's letting me know that that's a good idea. And that means from up high, we're getting some pointers. So in theory, we can change it, and we can potentially bring back the duo once again. But let's get into this series, because this is the first time that we've got LCK matching up against the LPL. It is in theory going to be third versus third.
我们第一场比赛对战 Kingzone 的话，我们之前有在训练赛中同他们交过手，我们知道他们双人线是一条比较强的线 ，Deft 跟突信两个人都比较厉害。然后我们之前也被他们下路就有那种被他们赢过，所以也知道也比较清楚就他们的打法吧。然后我们会用我们的办法去赢他们。
Okay, and Kingzone will be the first team that we'll be introducing on our blue side. Of course, Rascal, Cuz, Neon, Deft, and Tucson will be that roster, of course. Not a lot of subs, guys. So in theory, it's Hero, but it's actually not.
Yeah,
he's not a player for this team. And this is the only 5 that you will see, even if you're watching in the LCK. So if you are sort of an LPL purist, haven't been watching too much LCK, these are the only players that you're going to see on the Kingzone side.
And you have to feel glad about that, because you heard it from Chris, a lot of respect for Deft and Tucson, and whenever you talk to any LPL fans, 100%, or at least LCK fans as well, I mean, Deft has made his routes. The strongest AD carry in the world is a question that comes up consistently, and for him, he needs to be able to get to that international event, obviously not being able to get the job done in Spring Split.
Yep.
A lot of love for the boy, and so going up against LWX and Chris is going to be a fun matchup.
And of course, Deft has been pretty good at taking down Chinese AD carries in the past. Raz, we spent some time on desk together talking about it, as this is going to be your FunPlus Phoenix roster. Gimgoon top side of the map, Tian in the jungle, Doinby in the mid lane, LWX and Crisp on the bottom side. Possibly our longest running, currently playing together, duo lane on the bot side of the map.
Yeah, since 2016 at Summer Split, LWX and Crisp has formed a great relationship. Their laning phase has been on par, incredible, on point, always looking toward trade. So they've been aggressive for the most part. I think the greatest addition of the, Doin being to the team. I know you guys talk about the fact that he's always smiling.
He's always smiling, and he's now against Doinby, who's also always smiling.
It's
the battle of the smilers in the mid lane. I'm very excited to see how this one goes. But of course, everyone's very excited to watch Doinby play, because I feel like FunPlus Phoenix are a really interesting team, because often you talk about red side being super powerful if you want to counterpick for top lane.
Yes.
Like, possibly even support in the past was a place. It's not often counterpick in the mid lane, but that's what FunPlus Phoenix make it about. They make it about getting this gentleman here on the correct champion to win the game.
He has, of course, the most champions played amongst mid laners in the LPL.
I think in history, right? Like, he's just played a lot of stuff.
This split has actually played Kennen because there was an opportunity to throw it into the mid lane.
Yeah, we had a Kennen in the LCK as well. It didn't go so well.
Oh yeah, same.
Yeah, it's not so great, but we will be heading into draft very, very soon. This is in theory a third place match. I mentioned this before. Kingzone spent some time towards the top of the standings. That is not where they are right now, and FunPlus Phoenix have yet to drop a match.
Yes, they are the most dominant LPL team this split. I've had great regular season performances, and coming into the draft, being able to get red side once again, their favorite side. I love what they're able to do at this side of the map, so let's see what we get here.
Well, Renekton's going to be banned away. That's against Doinby. Often you'd see that Renekton being banned. You'd think, oh, top lane. not the case.
Historically, Doomby has been a Karma player too, so you need to ban that away from the
Well, when I was back at the LPL, that was exactly what he was playing. It was Karma Victor, but not going to be the case this time, and especially not in this game, because Karma is going to be banned away, rightfully so as well. We saw that dumb on comp. That is not what we ever want to see again. It's disgusting. It's not League of Legends. It's anti-fun. It's bad news bears. Sorry, Shakarez, once again.
There we go. And I expect FPX to be banning the Yuumi here, knowing that, you know, Karma and the Lux are off the map. And they're a team that loves to play into Yuumi. They would pick the Nautilus whenever given the opportunity because they're a heavily skirmishing team. In fact, Nautilus still being used as a mid laner for the team as well. So you'd have to look towards FPX's mid jungle to get the opportunity to go Nautilus and let's say Xin Zhao.
Well, Nautilus is not going to happen.
Yeah, there we go. Already taken off it.
Yep, and our final ban now to come in from FPX. It will be the Aurelia taken off the board. Banned alongside the Sejuani, so a lot of respect given to the Aurelia play, and that's largely to do with Rascal up here on the top side, who is hovering that Yuumi with the Lux banned. It really does open some doors here, and they do lock that one away pretty instantly, but this opens some power picks here for FPX as well. Kingzone has been known as a Jace player for a very long time, but isn't going to be the pickup. It's going to be the Nico locked away here, and that's a pick away from Neon, Rascal as well, and also a power pick here for FPX.
Yeah, you don't want to be locking yourself into the Jace, recognizing that Doomby doesn't necessarily play it, not historically.
It's not weird enough for him to play.
Exactly,
It's too much of a hipster.
Doesn't even play LeBlanc and all that. But, I mean, FPX as a team, they're so comfortable with their style and draft.
This is super dangerous, though. Picking Sivir into Deft is always scary because Deft is largely one of the best Sivir players to have ever hit the Rift, but he also is very, very good at punishing Sivir. He has the Jinx in his back pocket. He can just pick up the bullet hell lane if he wants to and just throw Cullings and final chapters at the enemy until they just surrender the lane.
Yeah, great trading patterns from Lucian and Yuumi. I think what we would like to see here from FPX is once again a focus through mid jungle because they're okay essentially losing quite a bit in the bot side of the map. Before first base, if you can't get your BF sword, where Sivir's underneath their turret for a little bit, I mean, what we'd love to see from FPX is, you know, round up Tian and Doomby, get some skirmishes through mid, and then just get the train to the bottom side of the map. That's how they've been ending these games incredibly fast, or at least getting early goal leads. So that's something Kingzone, at least through their early scouting, should be able to understand.
Well, Kingzone did manage to pick up the Azir, which is the absolute power pick for Neon. He swept the floor with opposition on that particular champion. Kingzone have been known to do some great things, but don't be going back to an old favorite here, potentially. It is going to be that Corki.
Corki Sivir in your composition right from the get-go. This could be a slower game coming in from FPX. Just
but
being
also,
able to,
this is so weird on FPX's side because they haven't left anything that's ambiguous.
Yes.
There is a Sivir on the bottom lane, there is a Nico on the top side, and there is a Corki in the mid lane. That is just how this is already built out. Kingzone can now draft around that pretty comfortably. Keeping things mysterious for Tian and Crisp isn't necessarily how you'd expect FPX to play out a red side draft.
I wonder how the scrims have gone, just hearing from, you know, the interview from Crisp, talking about how they do fear the Deft and Tushin bottom side of the map.
Yep.
FPX is a team that, during the regular season, I would say mostly from Spring Split, really did lack the ability to play a slower game, being able to play, like, essentially a more focused game on side lanes. They would be able to shove, push, skirmish, and it would be picked apart by the best teams in the LPL, specifically talking about Invictus Gaming, teams that could play slow whenever needed. So FPX, this is going to be a good challenge for them to see if they can necessarily slow it down here.
Well, we'll see whether slowing it down is actually a strategy to be used against an LCK team. We are a slower region. We do like to play a little bit more controlled. I'd expect LPL playing LPL style is a pretty good way to challenge this Kingzone squad, but Xin Zhao is going to be taken off the board, so the early power junglers have been removed by Kingzone.
We do need an early game bridge here, so love the fact that the Xin Zhao, you know, early game champions taken off. Lee Sin being picked up here. I would have thought that the Rex side get locked in, but Tian is one of our better Lee Sin players in the LPL.
Rascal, just do it.
Oh my God, please.
Is he?
He locked it in.
He locked it in.
He locked it in.
He's playing Kled against Doimby. That's happening right now. I know he's not in the same lane, but picking Kled against Doimby? Really?
Doimby and Kingzone. Both of those guys are Kled connoisseurs.
Oh my God. Well, that is certainly a way to drop the gauntlet against FPX. Kingzone playing with a little pizzazz here in their first game of Rift Rivals 2019. the Alistar going to be locked in here as well. So a lot of CC coming from the bottom side of the map, and in fact a lot of playmaking coming from this last round of picks out of FPX.
Yeah, while I like the fact that Crisp is going back to what's made him powerful in the LPL, it's his best pick, Alistar is his go-to, Kingzone just has objectively the better draft.
Yeah.
Yuumi just works so well in the laning phase with Lucian, mid-game with the Azir, and then you look at the Kled while you're going the final chapter. Like, I love TuSin being able to pick up the Yuumi first and foremost, but with this comp, that's crazy.
And also, he's taken the Ignite Exhaust. We're killing people in this lane.
We're going in.
This is the solo queue decision, going in with as many attack summoners as you can find. Often in pro play, we see the heal. That's not happening this time around, as the coaches, they will shake hands. Kingzone DragonX are a team that have been up and down, and when it comes to international performances, it's always a difficult name to talk about. This roster, though, compared to the last time that we saw them on the international stage, is very, very different. So we'll see how these guys are going to come out and do it. Of course, Deft has been known to perform internationally very, very well in the past, no matter which region he's actually representing.
Well, FPX, a team that wants to be able to break through on an international stage. I mean, remember, during the spring split going into the playoff time, a lot of people had faith that they would get to the finals. Gets upset by JDG.
Yeah.
And so this is the first time we get to see them hit the international stage.
Absolutely exciting. The first place team in the LPL versus Kingzone DragonX. I love the clash of LCK and LPL fan chants, as Deft and TuSin have started being frustrating already. I like these changes in 9.13 that we get, by the way, so that we know that the You and Me has actually been utilized by the Yuumi.
God bless.
Yep.
Getting to the point about the fans, of course, one thing I was worried about would be the LPL fans overpowering the LCK fans. They come out in droves for these international events.
And also, the fan chants go for way longer.
Yes.
So it does sound a little bit like it's biased, you know? It's like each yell may not be as loud. I mean, the Kingzone chant was deafening
it was
here.
Pretty damn good.
Here in this stadium, but the FPX chant went for like 3 times the time. So, I mean, who wins here? I don't even necessarily know. If you're giving out a raffle based on audience opinion, it becomes very, very difficult to figure this one out. So we enter the laning phase. Doinby just happy to go up with that Gatling gun against Neon, but Neon's not stepping down from this one. As our Rascal's going to miss his bear trap on a rope.
So it's going to be the Glacial Augment on the Nico. Whenever it comes to the top lane, you would expect perhaps it's going to be the press the attack. In this case, just such a great... oh no.
Sorry, I got distracted. TuSin, he moved off the Ignite and went back to heal.
Okay, that's fair.
So sad. So sad.
But the team fights for FPX, if they can get to those points. Alistar, a lot of space you can create. Same with the Nico, but getting pushed off immediately. That's the expectation you have. Like,
ow.
That's life against Lucian Yuumi.
This is what your life is now, guys.
I know,
but I mean, like, I know. They're picking Alistar into this lane. That's so hard.
That's why I think the draft from a Kingzone, we talked about the picks themselves, but the bans, like the Nautilus ban was a strong one. The Xin Zhao ban, a lot of the early game bridge that you would expect, just being able to force your will upon this lane, taken away immediately. So it's going to take some time and a lot of faith towards the Lee Sin and what he can accomplish. So just going for a full clear topside is what the Lee Sin is going for. Nothing out of the ordinary. No, oh my God, please.
Yeah, this is where the danger is. I actually feel like the FPX got a fantastic lane in mid. You know, Corki has been picked into Azir time after time, right? We saw earlier that, you know, you just stand up there with the Gatling gun, you can win these trades pretty effectively. This is a disaster, though.
Yeah.
And this is where Kingzone can straight up win games without any jungle help. They don't need
time limit.
Yeah.
You're talking about like 8 minutes, 9 minutes in which your turret plating bot side is getting demolished.
Yeah, it's like there's a Rift Herald, but his name's Deft.
Take a look at this.
Well, Tien's going to get knocked up, and that's the hail of blades coming out from Cuz. He wants this. Q is going to miss, though, and that's going to mean that Cuz is going to be able to get out of there. Doinby comes around, doesn't find the rockets. Of course, doesn't have them at level 3 just yet. And Crisp was moving up. That meant that Deft could have full control of this lane once again. 24 CS to 12.
But take a look at the situation you're in now if you're FPX, because sure, Lee Sin tried to double down. If he had hit that Q, Doinb would have come through. But just unrelenting. If Doinb comes to help, he loses waves through mid lane. You're in a position now where you're going to have to give up this blue buff. Unless you pick up a skirmish, you're going to lose out.
Well, Cuz, he's going to be able to clear this one out. Uses the smite, makes sure that he guarantees that pickup. And there are some defensive pings up towards the top side because I have a feeling Cuz will be able to go for the 3-buff double scuttle, popularized by our good friend Score back in the day when he was tearing up the jungle at probably his peak.
Yeah, when he was
before
playing
picking
well.
up the LCK title in 2018. That was something that he popularized, and other players have been trying to reproduce it. Cuz is about to right now.
At least Lee Sin's here at the right time to be able to be on top of his Raptors, but Cuz has the right amount of time. Once he takes Scuttle Crab, he's going to be there if he wants to. He has mid lane shoving up, so he can contest the the Raptors. Take a look at this.
Yeah, lots of flashes in the mid lane, but they're not going to mean anything. Neon just shifts some sands, gets himself out. He did have to use his flash. Tian holds on to his as Cuz enters the mid lane now. See if he can place him defensively. Okay, there's the flash in. Sand Soldier's doing some work. Doinb gonna get taken down. The last Sand Soldier will do it. First blood goes to Neon.
Flash couldn't get him out on that one, but such a great counter gank from Cuz. Just comes right back in. I just wanted to talk about the fact that the Lee Sin had great window to be able to get a gank through mid lane. Cuz didn't give me a damn time to be able to talk about it.
Well, he did get a gank in mid lane. I mean, he managed to get a flash there as well. Headbutt pole, bottom side of the map. You and me gets Tucson to safety. Prowling projectile. Fair bit of damage here as Tucson pops out again. Gets some zoomies happening. The frustration, you can feel it. It is palpable.
This is painful.
In this stadium, it's really, really rough.
This literally just started out from draft alone, and Cuz has just been on the right side of the map to be able to punish it.
Yeah, we're going to get a replay of Cuz just pressing his tunnel button and flashing onto Doinb, who doesn't have flash.
Yeah, so be able to get on top of him. Nehun doesn't actually even have to, because regardless of the fact that he blew flash earlier on, just had the positioning to follow up on Cuz.
Yep. Neon, not exactly the broadest of smiles, because of course it is still very early into this one. And FPX have gotten back from difficulties in the past, and they certainly have so many playmaking tools here. So 1,000 gold is the lead here for Kingzone, but we all know things can change.
Exactly. Kingzone has been in games where they weren't able to...
Yeah, they play some good baseball, Raz.
Exactly.
They certainly do.
Find themselves leads, but not necessarily be able to stomp down on those. But teleporting back into the lane, you're put in a great position. Like for the next 5 minutes here, Kingzone can just continue to hit down and third plating bot side, rotate towards the Rift Herald, have pressure on that. There's not much FPX can do unless they find another creative timing by FPX's jungle Tien. So really tough issue here.
I got a question for you, Raz.
What's up?
Do you think Deft forgot that he's on patch 9.12?
Oh my God, yes,
that he's on patch 9.13, sorry.
Yes, you're right.
Do you think that's happened? That's it's a bit dicey. So what is that pickaxe doing? Possible Infinity Edge. Not a normal second item for Illusion.
We'll see when we get through.
Yes, I think we'll have to.
Definitely BSO would have been AFP going for it.
Cuz is going to be tunneling around here in Tian's jungle. Tucson happily eating a blast cone here. Prowling projectile just to get some more damage onto Crisp. As Deft is happily trying to destroy LWX. Does manage to get the spell shield in time, so saves himself from the piercing light.
Right now, Rek'Sai actually could just be able to go topside for red buff take or double down on the Dragon here. Even if he starts Dragon alone, may be able to get chipped down a little bit. But mid and bot side, the adjacent lanes in the bot side of the map have just been consistently shoving in and been doing their jobs here. So early gold lead is just such an easy point here for Kingzone.
I also think that Tian was on vision as he went towards his red buff. So this should be a free Infernal Drake to go down at 7.5 minutes into the game. And that is easily going to be taken here from Kingzone, and works fantastically well here for Kingzone. High rolling as far as the Drakes are concerned, because they get to utilize their power on the bottom side of the map in order to take the best Drake of the game.
Speaking of rolling, you roll the dice for the next Dragon, it's going to be another Infernal.
That's what we're talking about.
So the early game from Kingzone.
That's what happens when the Rift Rivals is in Korea, all right? We get the Drake rolls.
It's already pretty damn hot out here in Korea. We literally got that emergency warning on our phone.
We did. and it's in Korean, and so we had to very quickly ask Ji-sun, like, are we going to die? Like,
I thought it was going to be an earthquake. I was wrong about
warning.
that. I was a little bit... oh, here we go, though. That's nothing.
Yeah, that's a headbutt to try and avoid that turret plate from going down, and guess what? Didn't work.
Near 20 CS advantage here for Def. You look at the mid lane, that's only piling up. Top lanes are only saving grace, but how are you going to be able to get on top of Rascal? It's a fairly safe lane here for Kled.
Well, Kingzone not going to be able to get the flash out as Rascal just presses the charge button, and he's going to leave.
Didn't have too much of an idea where the Lee Sin was. If it was just him and, of course, the Nico, doesn't even need to use the ultimate, so.
Yeah, maybe just wanders out.
It's smart. I mean, he's recognized the advantage his team already has in the bot side. Why take an added risk? So, at least if you are FPX, starting to shove through mid with the Sheen pickup that you have here off Porky, you can start to go back top lane. I think immediately Rascal not having his ultimate up, try and force his flash up. I think these are situations you can now go for and force a more skirmishing, messier game. What's up?
Deft has the BF sword now.
There we go.
I really hope that just out of protest he decides to build Infinity Edge first item on Lucian.
At least just to escape the...
Yeah, escape the ridicule.
Yes.
Just say, no, this is my next level build.
This is what I was going for.
Hey, we don't know. Maybe it is the next level build. Have you had a look at the most popular builds for Lucian on 9.13?
I still think Blade of the Rune King.
I have a feeling you might be correct.
Yeah.
As Crisp is discovered by Cuz. Tian is here already. Never mind. Deft and Tucson have the wave pushed up.
This is really necessary here. For FPX, they need to start taking control of the river and the bot side of the map. Ways that they've been able to get back into the game, as I've already mentioned, is to be able to at least get one shot or a gank on towards Nehun, force throughout the bottom side map, and you're already seeing continued gold going on towards Kingzone.
The real trouble here is the fact that they're getting turret plates in the mid lane on the Azir's side of the map. That is just not really what you want, as Gimgoon does miss the snare, so Rascal is going to be okay. They're trapping a rope just to clear out some waves, as Rascal still has Skull. Kuz is coming up here as well. They only need one round of Qs and a little bit of damage from Rascal, and they should be able to kill Gimgoon here.
And that's the concern for Nico up top lane, is while it is a long lane, absolutely being able to shove it into tower is very difficult. Rascal was taking a pretty good positioning within the lane just to support the gank, but you're right, Gimgoon is smart on weak side, but take a look at this, just doubling down on the Rift Herald.
Yep, teleport to come in here as Deft and Tucson making their way up as a duo. Tian comes down though, but it's not actually him, it's in the mid lane. There's the Emperor's Divine Doiby flashing to get out of the way, but the final chapter is read to him. Deft is going to pick up that kill, and Chris is going to have to get the hell out of there. Kingzone just decide they want to fight in the mid lane and let the Rift Herald go to wherever it wants.
And they're playing a clean game. Is this the Kingzone you've seen in the LCK?
Well, not in their last match. That was against Griffin, and they got smashed. Raz, this is not what I was expecting out of FPX, though. I mean, I was listening to Raz takes, and I was ready for FPX to really show us the what's what.
It's funny because when you talk to Kingzone fans, or I'll talk about Papa Smithy, his point is, you know, if you're Kingzone, who do you want to empower? Who do you want to set up to succeed? And during the regular season, it was Rascal. Rascal and Cuz were the duo.
In summer, yeah.
Exactly. But Deft, who has been such a strong AD carry just throughout his history in the split, like, this bottom lane has been paying off.
Well, I mean, in spring, it was Deft and Tucson that really pulled them out and pulled them up to third place. The reason why they're here against FPX is largely because of this bottom lane. And in this scenario, specifically, they are in the most oppressive lane, and they are playing as aggressively as they want because they have control of the jungle, control of the mid lane. There is absolutely no way that FPX can answer this.
And they're 2 steps ahead because FPX think that this is their window to be able to contest through mid, get the chance on towards the Rift Herald.
Ow.
Immediately, Deft and Tucson comes to be able to save the day. So they already read the possibilities for FPX, knowing that this mid lane skirmish was going to be the fight that they wanted to take. So already on top of it. Kingzone is literally shoving waves into top, mid, bot, and utilizing Deft and Tucson to be able to, you know, collapse on top side and get them that Rift Herald. Or at least fight for it. It's still up and available.
And I feel like this is a Kingzone that has grown up since the last time we saw them on the international stage. Often, Kingzone was playing like they were just the better team, and they could pick what they want. This is a Kingzone that is playing around a known power point, being Doinby, That's why. He's 0-2 at the moment. FPX has started off this Drake. It's going down low. Cuz is in position. He wants to get that tunnel forward to lock this one down. He's not going to steal it even on the Infernal Drakes. And now Cuz going to have to use the ultimate, but doesn't even have time. Final chapter does come down, and Neon just has to shift some sands to get the hell out of there. That was just Kingzone dropping the ball, losing the Drake, and losing their jungle.
That's exactly what it was. I mean, the Kingzone had all the wards available on side of the map. They had the timing on the Infernal Dragon and just weren't on the same page of what they wanted to do. They had Deft on the bot side of the map, so he could come in and collapse, but they just weren't ready for that fight. They kind of split calls there. Do we want to take the fight? Do we want to steal the Dragon? Cuz went in for the steal, ended up dying for it.
And once you commit to that tunnel, I mean, I can't believe he didn't even use the Void Rush there just to buy some extra time. It just showed that Kingzone had decided that they don't want to fight us. We're going to have a look at it one more time. And maybe there was just a CC bar that was lasting for too long onto Cuz.
And for me, the crucial difference was Kled making the roam from top side towards the bottom side of the map.
The timing wasn't there.
Exactly. If he had the push initially, he could have made the roam, and the Kled ultimate would have been the key difference in that fight. But you know, they just weren't really on the same page on that one. So dropping the ball there, giving FPX a chance into this game.
And also giving Doinby a kill. And that is absolutely huge to try and save his mid game. That does mean that Trinity Force does come in. That would have been the recipe's worth, right? Coming from that kill. And now Kingzone are going to start off this Rift Herald once again. Tian in perfect position, but a teleport going to be utilized. That's going to get Deft and Tucson all the way over here. Kimgoon, that is a shape splitter. That's not a real one. Is in the mid lane. FPX are going to try and make a tempo play. Try and take this one down. Neon's going to turn up with a Nico with a Yuumi in his back pocket. And they will be able to save it. Nicely done.
But post 14, it's far more valuable for Kingzone to be able to get Rift Herald and look topside. It just depends if they can get a kill, but not even going to be a possibility. They're just trading against the Rift Herald. So should expect Kingzone to get this turret, push on towards this inner turret, base, and then make a play towards the bot side outer turret. Yeah, it just gives them that play to be able to move quickly.
Well, they should be able to get this inner turret as well. I mean, no one's coming to check up on it. And there's 3 members topside.
Oh, there's double
with
down.
Deft, that is very easy to take down. So inner turret is free. Not likely to go for any charges on the inhibitor turret. Can be a little bit dangerous here, as that is a very long lane for FPX to play around now. Shelly will get... Nope. Yeah, spanked out of there. Crisp is going to hold the minion wave as well, and they could potentially freeze this on FPX's side if they wanted to play some slow League of Legends. I know our good friend LS would be super psyched about a potential freeze.
Ecstatic.
Oh, he'd love it. He'd love it. I think we talk about freezes a lot every single game, and they never happen. But we still talk about them.
One day it'll happen.
What's your opinion on a good freeze?
I mean, the issue, like, coming in
as
from
an
the
LPL
from the LPL, the usual strategy is like shove and look for plays, right?
Yep.
But if a team is able to, you know, play it safe on the weak side, then usually you get the most out of just bouncing waves. Issue here, I'm just going to be talking from Kingzone's perspective.
Yep.
What they could do with the inner tower being down is, I mean, they're a group and fight team. That's ultimately what they want to accomplish. They could fully push it in, get deep wards into the red side jungle. I know we're 4 minutes off until Baron is even a conversation, but it allows them access into the outer mid lane turret. So these are plays that they have available to them that they didn't have before taking those top lane turrets. So they have the ability to play proactive here.
Well, Deft is actually just going to build this Lucian like it's a Sivir. He's going for the same build that LWX is going for here. It's often that we see the Essence Reaver out of Deft's Lucian, but often you'll see a Phantom Dancer coming in afterwards to try and give him that extra attack speed. Not going to happen this time. He's just looking straight towards that Infinity Edge by the looks of things.
Just great damage later on into the game. And honestly, when we're seeing far more, you know, Zayas and Sivers, and ordinarily you're even looking towards FPX composition. Range is certainly a strength that they have here with the double AD carries. Deft being able to pick up these fights.
That was actually really sexy.
Okay. Get out of there.
Yeah, but being able to move out of the way.
But that's something to look forward to in Lucian later on in the late game team fights. That's going to be exciting to see.
All right. Well, speaking of excitement, there's not a whole lot of it going around. 2,000 gold is the lead for Kingzone, and I feel like that fight around the Infernal Drake really added a dampener to this game from the Kingzone perspective. They had so much tempo, but now laning phase is over. You've got LWX just sharing farm with Deft in the mid lane.
But you can tell from the vision, this is the third dragon now that Kingzone has full control. While they split dragons, they're not going to make that mistake once again. They have full push on bot side. I would expect Rascal to start moving now towards this bot side of the map. It's just sad to see FPX already moving into position and taking control. This poor planning from Kingzone from the get-go.
Yep, 5 seconds now, and that dragon is going to be there. In fact, you can see him poking his head in. But the Kled is in a better position this time, is in vision of FPX. We'll see whether they just make the move. Tian already started it up.
Take a look at the bot side. That's going to be the strongest point of it.
Final chapter already going to go down here as Chris takes a fair bit of damage, but the Drake is secured. Chris diving on in, and they manage to take down the Rek'Sai before anything else can happen. The culling flies in as Deft does a fair bit of damage, as Tian just going to get booped away. Kingzone not going to find any joy with his ultimate. Double kill comes down from Deft as Rascal has found the backline. Doiby and LWX not going to be able to do anything, and Skull joins the fight once again. We're looking for the ace here, but no. Doiby makes it underneath his turret.
Finally, Kingzone gets the fight that they've been looking for. Although late, super powerful, and it's going to be able to get them these 2 turrets.
That's amazing stuff from Kingzone. We saw that first death come in for Cuz, and we were all worried. We were all thinking that it was the same dragon fight from before, but instead, Kingzone are able to turn that one around. Let's have a look at it again.
I mean, Nehun and Lucian were actually incredibly slow to the fight to begin with. They shouldn't even be losing a second Infernal Dragon with the positioning that they had. And then the ultimate from Kled was super slow to the play, so they lost a member for no reason. But they finally got in position where Kled is just going to be that wall. You're not going to get past me. I'm going to be the one, sandwiching you in. So you have to deal with Nehun and Deft. Deft just eviscerates Gimgoon in this fight. And so finally, Kingzone's team fights are coming through.
Oh, that timing was disgusting. From Rascal, jumps back on Skull, just knows when his trusty steed is just around the corner. Hops on top, saves his life. Kingzone staff looking pretty happy about it.
That's not enough excitement, man.
No.
Maybe they've been through a lot of these Kingzone, obviously.
If you want the excitement, you got to look at Sandbox. Like, they're always the ones that are launching themselves around the room, but Kingzone not so much. Hirai's just he's a pretty calm and collected type guy. Always looks real suave. It's all about the style. For that gentleman,
I'm gonna say pessimistic there, man. You
pessimistic.
Look at this.
Well, I mean, come on, this is international Kingzone. When do you start celebrating, man? Like, you got to be careful. You got to be careful. All right. Baron buff is now the consideration. 20 minutes and 45 seconds on the clock. That's a dangerous one to be taking. And FPX did manage to get that Infernal Drake.
But I think, Nehun's on the right side. Gets a few shoves on top side. And this is what I was talking about initially. Should be able to get out pretty free.
Wow, Rascal actually into position quite effectively there as Doiby tried to interrupt the blast coning. Change up that timing there as Nehun with his Sun turret available topside is going to push on in.
Now they can finally get the topside vision so they can play the Baron game.
Well, outer turret falling in the mid lane means that they do have all of the control of this topside jungle.
Yeah, the only difficulty here is if we're talking about, trying to pick a fight, you're looking at Nehun's ultimate, Rascal being able to find a flank as well, and if that's going to be your point of focus, then he's not in position to do that. I just think they have a great team to just force on towards Dragon. Or Baron, that is, and have Rascal in the flank spot. So let's see how they end up playing this one out.
Well, Cuz is just waiting, looking for some sort of pick potential and able to just hop in the same tunnel that he set down for himself earlier if ever anything goes wrong.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, control ward coming down to Kingzone. They're looking for the flank. Back's coming in here as Preyseeker does not find Doiby. Changes position. Prowling Projectile does not find any targets. LWX a little bit slow to this one, but you can see Rascal's in the mid lane. Deft having to use his QSS very early in this potential skirmish might mean the Kingzone do have to slow down with the pressure.
Yeah, great defense overall. If I'm Rascal, position myself up top lane. I would rather have Nehun mid now that they've already had the shove to begin with. So you would have Rascal in position for a flank whenever possible. So it feels like they're only getting slowed here because their only point of, reliable engage is not in position.
Yeah, well, they've got 3 teleports on both sides of the map, actually. Both teams having a hell of a lot of teleports available. The reset comes in from Kingzone. A hell of a lot of control wards now in their back pocket as well, as Kingzone look to try and make the same play again. With these inner turrets, this inner turret top lane and the outer turret mid having fallen, Kingzone will inherently just have better control of this area. However, they haven't been able to find inroads enough in order to get onto the Baron, and 4,000 gold is just not enough of a lead to really feel comfortable brute forcing it.
especially if you have double Infernal and FPX amongst what is 3 carries, of course.
And Corky actually scaling. Probably the best with that particular Drake out of most champions.
Exactly.
Not named Jin, maybe.
This is their best window from Kingzone to be able to force your will on Baron, because once you're able to get some at least Infinity Edge components, right, they're just going to go for it now.
Rallying projectile comes down. They didn't want to find Crisp with it as On the Hunt comes down. Final chapter there just to deter them from engaging onto Kuz. He does go into his stopwatch. Def gets them out of the way as Pop Blossom is channeled. Rascal looks for the charge and does get on top of Kingzone here. As there's the kill. The Nico's going to fall. The Sand Soldiers set themselves up, but not for long as the Azir is going to get taken down. Doinby does so much damage at this stage of the game, but Def does too. Crisp taken down for the double. The flash! The triple kill! Could it be the quadra? Yes, it is! This is Def on the international stage. Welcome, guys, to Rift Rivals 2019.
Set the ball rolling, and Def takes them down one by one, where LWX couldn't even find a place to go into the fight.
That's an inhibitor as well. Def wanted that pentakill, but he's not going to get it. Too many kills already went down, of course. That first one going over to Rascal, but man, it is so fun watching Def on the international stage, especially up against LPL teams. I feel like he just wants to get some revenge against old teammates, against old opposition from his time in the LPL. As FPX, they will respawn.
Here we go. Def is incredibly low.
Yeah, a lot of members, in fact, are incredibly low. Pop Blossom is going to fly forward. The Yumi's going to go down, but if it's a trade 1-for-1 and Kingzone get Baron, then that is not worth it, and that's exactly what it's going to be.
I mean, great flash, just reposition to get out of the pit. Doesn't have to worry about the Nico there. Kingzone, straight from the beginning of the game, had it all locked down from the draft. And then you take this fight. While it was botched from Cuz to begin with, he just needed to find a way into the back line. FPX, at the end of the day, out of position. Doinby thinks he can get some damage on Cuz, but the members you need to look at as Def and Nehu, putting in a lot of damage on Doinby, who was trying to go in face first. Rascal pushes forward, and all you need to look at is Def and LWX. How does LWX join this fight? Cuz pushes him out entirely, so he has to scale throughout the entire terrain while Def goes through. Crisp then finishes off with Doinby, and LWX is like, I'm the only man up, my friend. Yep. Let's see if I can at least put in some damage. Gets taken down.
He's like, what happened? Where did all my friends go? I thought this was like slivers of health and then a couple of players. Well, not the case as Kingzone. He was disguised, but unfortunately, it just wasn't enough to deter Kingzone from going for any sort of Baron play. They were able to take that one down. As Acorn, you can see he's very excited. Even Harai, that's a fish shake there as well. He's getting excited, man.
I mean, at this point, this is as clean as you'd ever hope.
The pessimism's running out, like you were talking about before.
Yeah, and I think right now, the fact that FPX have been on that pedestal for so long in the LPL, and then you're looking at this kind of game, and Kingzone are playing what seems like the best Kingzone you can be.
Yeah.
Deft is on top of his game right now, and they have a comp that really empowers him. So great job here to be able to draft into this one, and then just keep discipline. That's what it really comes down into. While the fights are not necessarily starting how Kingzone wants it to start, they know how to position to keep Deft alive, and Nahun's putting in a lot of DPS at the same time.
Well, Doinby looking for the play, does have the package available, but the culling flies forward. That needs to have the package delivered to get him out of the fight. Even the Valkyrie used immediately afterwards. Rascal looking to protect this siege minion. And the inhibitor turret in the mid lane is going to get taken down for free. Kingzone, that's his shape splitter. But you saw how much these crits are doing. Chris tries to flash him, but he's just going to die. The final chapter read out plain as day as the charge into the backline from Rascal. Jumps off Skull, taking a lot of damage here as Tian looks for the kick, gets Def, and will take him down. Now it's FPX's opportunity as Kingzone doesn't find the Pop Blossom, and Kingzone are able to get out of there. However, they haven't taken an inhibitor yet, and they do have to disengage. Without Def, this comp does nothing.
That's what they were just going in too quickly. Kingzone at least whipped some desperation out of FPX there, because they had top lane going in alone on its own. They didn't have to expend any members on it, so they were just focused on mid lane, bot lane, trying to at least chip on towards inhibitor as well. But then Rascal obviously just charges in on his own, loses so much of his HP, and it slows it down just a little bit, but I'm not too concerned if I'm at Kingzone in this game.
Well, damage done to champions, the numbers are pretty high. for the mid laners, as you can see. Deft, though, doubling the damage of LWX's Sivir is something you'd expect early game out of Illusion, to be perfectly honest. I thought the numbers for that one might have been higher, but Tusin's been doing a lot of work as well, as Chris just shorts it, unfortunately, on the Pulverize.
That's the desperation we were talking about. They recognized that they were getting shoved in all 3 lanes here. But then Tien.
Yeah.
Big boy Tien says, nah, I don't care about you. You go
now
golden.
That's the LPL Lee Sim plays that we wanted out of Flawless when he was playing.
Hell yeah. But we're seeing it here out of Tien. A great moment to slow the game down. But you would expect Kingzone to go right back into the same position. Top lane waves there too, so you can push off of Inhibitor, go back towards top. Kingzone needs to play it respectful. It's FPX that need to find a similar golden play like that.
Yeah, well, there's flashes available for Deft and Neon. So it means that the amount of Kingzone plays that they can make is much higher than that of FPX. Not having the flash on Tien is so hard. And Doinby, of course, has to play a whole lot more safely than what he was doing earlier on. FPX just watching as their inhibitors are falling down. We've got a 10,000 gold lead on the horizon.
You gotta draw the line of sand.
As Kingzone's Shape Splitter is going to be ignored as it makes its way past last inhibitor to hit the dust. As Kingzone are now just 2 Nexus turrets away from their first international win for an LCK team against an LPL team at Rift Rivals for 2019, which is a great way to start this one off for the LCK. There is a lot of pride riding on this Rift Rivals. I know a lot of people talk about Rift Rivals not necessarily being a very important tournament. I feel like the Asian Rift Rivals for 2018 was very important. For 2019, given the fact that it's the last one, it's been taken by LPL every time, the LCK are so hungry to try and lock this one down now. This would mean so much for Kingzone, who just need some international redemption, man.
Yeah.
They need a lot of international redemption.
Remember, this is LPL trying to three-peat in terms of Rift Rivals. And on top of that, Rift Rivals is at its best when both teams, or at least both regions, are incredibly competitive.
Yeah.
So you can learn a lot from them, both stylistically. And I feel like Kingzone, if we're just talking about teams that are really match up to the LPL in terms of just raw style, being up in front of your face, skirmish heavy. For me, it's Kingzone and Damwon that really hits the nail on that. So I love the fact that Kingzone are finding their groove through AD carry and a split pushing top laner that's trying to go in with Kled, right?
Yep.
Historically, that's LPL, my friend.
I love that you mentioned it's Damwon and Kingzone, because Acorn comes back and joins this squad as an analyst.
That's true.
Spent a lot of time in the LPL. Of course, Def needs no introduction on that front either. And then Damwon, I mean, they've got Kim Jong-soo, who's, of course, the Invictus Gaming 2018 World Championship coach. And he's behind Damwon Gaming as well in their young talent squad. This Baron is going to disappear. Goodbye, Baron.
You can't take that risk if you're FPX on that one.
Well, I mean, they can't. Their champions literally cannot move that fast.
That's true.
Like, it's just not happening.
There's that and all the vision control that there was just wrapped out by Kingzone. So Kingzone's been playing a very disciplined one. There was only one real mistake that we could pinpoint here.
Yeah.
And it was that the inhibitor push that they went for. Teleport, they're just trying to double down. If you look at the waves here, 3 super minion waves crashing nearly at the same time. Just get into the play.
Teleports everywhere on Kingzone's side. Tusin going to join in on that one, as well as Neon's going to help push in this minion wave. They just want to get them all crashing at the same time. Baron buffed super creeps. Now knocking on the front door of FPX, and good God, Tien, he just disappeared. The culling is literally just that, as Doinby does have to be respected, but Gimgoon looks like he doesn't. That's a big pulverize now into the back line, but there's just not enough damage. Empress Divide onto everyone in the back line, and it's clean up here for Kingzone DragonX. The double kill now. The Nexus will follow, and LCK will strike first against the LPL Rift Rivals 2019.
Beautiful performance. And a first upset for the event.
Yeah.
Kingzone comes in strong, recognizes their strengths, just outdrafts FPX, and play discipline.
This is the ridiculous part, though, is FPX, we've enjoyed their draft. You've mentioned it before. You've been very outspoken. Their flexibility has been what makes them strong. They locked in 3 lanes in their first 3 picks. And I have a feeling that when we see FPX again, it's going to be a different story than that.
Yep, fair, but you got to learn these lessons early. And really, it feels like teams like Kingzone learned that lesson very quickly coming in from the domestic split.
Yeah.
Knowing that if you go up against the best, and I'm talking about Griffin, and now they went up against FPX, they were well trained. to be able to come into this situation, they had a lot of faith in their individual talents. You just need to be able to reel it back in.
Yeah.
When it counts. And
also, you got to pick up a Lucian that goes 9-1.
That's a good
something
one.
Like
That's
that.
a good call.
And has a Yuumi in lane with a free Lux ban. I feel like how, you mentioned it correctly, how Kingzone navigated the draft really was a clincher for them to secure this game. However, the way they played things out after a rough dragon fight, the second dragon fight, really showed that they did manage to pick up some more disciplined play towards the end.
Yeah, and so I think a lot of the lessons that we learned from Kingzone coming out of this game here is the fact that, you know, Rascal, Cuz, in team fights, great space creation. Yeah. We just need to be able to see them create space for Def to be able to go rolling. Now, he's not going to be able to get Yuumi throughout the tournament. That's not going to happen.
You'd hope not.
Exactly.
If you were the opposition.
But I still think that is a great lesson to be learning. So even if he's on a Xayah pick or, you know, a Sivir once again, I feel like this is just a good point for Kingzone that are already playing on top. If we're just talking about mechanically, this is a good mechanical game from them.
Yeah.
But if we're just talking about, like, understanding their team identity, they hit it 100%.
Certainly did. We're going to check out some replays from the match here, guys. And Kingzone came off a really disappointing fight against Griffin moving into this Rift Rivals. I think it means so much for all of these players who needed that extra confidence in order to make something happen back in the LCK and here at Rift Rivals. And that's the big one, boys and girls.
That one's just beautiful to see. And I think something I love to see from Kingzone in this game was that they were always slowing the waves down, so when they had two super minion waves coming through, they were crashing them at the same time. For FPX, they knew that they were put in a really frustrating position that they had to fight, and they couldn't just rely on the wave clear. Take a look at that.
Look at the damage that Neon did in the last team fight.
Yeah.
Remember, we saw that damage number, and that was Doinby and Neon at neck and neck. And that Corki took a while to die in that last fight, but Neon's able to pull it away to 25k damage. And the thing is, like, and that's not, by the way, Big Koro is not in this game. That's Deft.
Okay.
They just wanted a bigger
name
sure
about
for
that?
Deft. So
he's pretty big this game.
They've subbed in Big Koro. I don't know what this is. An LMS VCS cry for help, perhaps. Yeah. I'm not sure.
He was huge.
That's the substitution?
This game, he was huge Koro.
Huge Koro?
Yes.
Gigantic, ginormous Koro. Remember, the Koro was literally a teammate of Deft's.
Oh, that's
on
true.
EDG back in the day.
Channeling EDG.
Woo, that's that. I had to dig deep to remember that one. Not gonna lie to you, it's been a while since we've seen that, man. That was a long time ago. As this is what they're all playing for, and LCK pride on the line, because we're in Seoul. You know, this is LCK. If we're going to lose, we can't do it here. We just cannot do it. And we are going to have an interview very soon, guys. And I'm really happy that it's going to be with Neon, because we get to talk about what it's like transitioning from a sub behind Pawn, who was playing very, very well in Spring, to being the only mid laner here and having to step into those shoes. And here now performing so well on the international stage. Amazing. From Kingzone.
I feel like this player, you know, Neon, before his career even had the opportunity to start, people already were, you know, down his throat.
Oh, yeah.
Like, coming in from the LSPL a long time. I remember his name, gets picked up, goes to Europe. Didn't really get much of an opportunity, and now he's in LCK, really making waves for himself. Multiple picks that he's able to go in, but here comes the interview. Take it away.
All right, taking down FPX, maintaining 3-0 clean sweep for LCK. Neon, how do you feel? You've become the starting lineup since the summer split, and you've been able to come to this Rift Rivals. How do you feel about it? I was very nervous regards to it. You know, the head coach and my assistant coaches have taken care of me very well, along with the players as well. Now, today your opponent was none other than FunPlus Phoenix, who has been undefeated in the LPL summer split. What were the specific preparations you have managed to do prior to the match? You know, they're a very great team. However, we don't consider ourselves very shabby. So if we can appropriately prepare for FunPlus Phoenix, we knew that we can able to take them down. No, the focal point was that you being able to stop Doinby's spree and you know, manage him. And how did it work out? No, we were aware that FunPlus Phoenix goes around with Doinby in the center. So if I could play my role correctly and appropriately, then we could have won regardless. No, we've also seen the usual Azir versus Corki matchup. What was the motive on your Azir pick? No, I believe that Azir is very viable versus Corki in terms of the laning phase. However, as time flows, then Corki favors over Azir. However, Yuumi is the X factor where it mitigates that difference. Now you have to play versus an LMS team. Can you tell us about your expectations? No, we're just gonna, stick to our roles and make plays, appropriate plays, and then hopefully we'll get the dub. Thank you.